Have you ever experienced the power of a personal mantra, catchphrase, or word of the year? If not, I'm here to encourage you that it may be a very helpful tool to help you withstand something difficult you might be going through. My cat is currently at the door wanting to know what I'm doing and why she's not involved. So if you hear a meow, that's her bossing me around, but I'm going to do my best to not respond to her. Anyways, back to having that personal mantra or catchphrase or whatever word term you would use for it. Now, when I was going through my divorce, I didn't choose this idea for myself. It just kind of happened for me. Um, I went to Al Anon and I had disappeared for about 2 months, and I went back to a meeting. And, naturally, you catch up with people afterwards. They're like, where have you been? What's been going on? And after sharing, this one person said to me, he said, I admire your resolve. And I remember thinking, what resolve? Like, I have resolve? Because at the time I felt that I was this person who could have just been blown over by a puff of breeze. And so I remember pondering on what he had said for like over a week. And then I realized, okay, these people know me fairly well. They know what I've been going through. And he must see something in me that I don't see myself. So I decided I would trust what he saw and what he said. And so that kind of became a thing that I would tell myself. um, Things would be hard, and I would remember, I admire your resolve. And I just kept going. And then I had another friend who told me that when she was going through a difficult divorce, um, she relied on the idea that God had a plan for her and your children. So I began to also say that to myself, especially during prayers. So it was like that year I really relied on those two things that friends had said to me, and I trusted in their knowledge and experience and what they were seeing in me when I couldn't necessarily trust as much in myself. And so I would like to invite you to maybe think through some things that people you know and trust and love have said about your character. And when you are feeling beaten down by the world, to draw on the strength of those things that they have seen in you and believe them. Because sometimes many times, we can be our own worst enemies and have these bad messages in our minds and really kind of be an enemy to ourselves. And when you are trying to rebuild yourself after um, ABUSE, trauma, all of those things. My cat is grumping at me again. Sorry. But anyway, when you are coming out from under that heaviness, and part of the system that keeps you there is to tear you down and to make you not believe in your strength and who you are. And so, if you can hold on to things that people who love you and that you trust to tell you the truth have said about you, good things about you, please, um, that can help you really build yourself up so that when those negative things come up in your mind, you can answer them back with, well, my friend says I am strong. My friend said he admires my resolve. I'm going to believe in what that friend sees because I don't think that I am thinking clearly about who I am in this moment. And then also, like I held on to the phrase, God has a plan for you and your children. And I repeated that many times, even when it looked like it was a long time before I was able to establish my own home, and get on my feet financially after the divorce. So even in those moments when I felt like there was no hope and I didn't see any possibility for my future, I would just tell myself, no, God has a plan for you and your children. He wouldn't bring you this far and then just leave you here where you are, leave you stuck. And so I just really want to encourage you to maybe take some time. I know what I like to do at the end of each year is kind of think through how my year went. I usually choose a word of the year. I don't like to do, what do you call it? I don't have words today. I'm tired. But I don't like to make resolutions each year. Instead, I might make some goals for myself, but my main point is to choose my word of the year. Um, and that becomes kind of my theme for the year. So, say I chose the word connection, that could be like reconnecting with myself, making connections with new people, staying connected to family and friends, and building those things, connecting in my church, my community, being a part of it, and not just taking but giving back. So, that's how I would work out what my goals for the year were that were in alignment with that word. Um, but yes, if you choose that word of the year, you can just make that focus and be like, is what I'm doing now serving my word of the year, which is kindness or love or connection? And that can help you decide things, as well as um, when you're having doubts or about yourself, and you're falling into a place of believing the terrible things that someone has poured into you, you could say, no, I'm a person who values connection and I work hard to connect with others. And I am connected to my church and my family and my friends and myself, and things like that, to kind of counter those false messages that can sometimes come through, not come true. Sorry about that. That was a terrible slip of the tongue, but those messages that can come through. And I think it's important that we talk back to them. We say, no, I don't want those thoughts in my mind. And it's not acceptable for me to be treated in this way, even by my thoughts. And I choose to either turn them around into a positive thought or reject them and push back with what I know to be the truth instead. Um, so that is how I've used mantras in the past and a word of the year. To help me stay on track. Right now, our family kind of has a fun catchphrase that we're using that was brought, something my 22-year-old said. I asked how their day went, and they said that it was full of joy and whimsy. So that's our current catchphrase. When we drink kombucha shots together, and our toast is to joy and whimsy. And it's just cute and fun. And like, I mean, if you lived your life looking for joy and whimsy every day, it's got to bring something positive to you. At least it relieves some of the anxiety that you may be feeling and helps you to look for something kind of funny or weird or whatever in the day. So, anyway, that's the current thing that's helping to lighten the mood in my home during a difficult time. And I am choosing joy and whimsy. I'm choosing to see things in my life that are joyful, funny. Joyful, doesn't necessarily mean funny, but it can. And whimsical, like I took a picture of some mushrooms growing out in the grass, because to me, mushrooms in the forest, that's whimsical in some way. But anyways, so yeah, I would just encourage you today to, if you're going through something hard, take some time to maybe sit down and journal, um, think on, and give yourself at least a week. Sometimes right away what your mantra is going to be, but think about things people have said to you, journal them out, and just let your mind be open to dwelling or thinking on this as you go throughout your day and week, and let those words come up. And you might end up with a couple, 3 or 4 even, and you can write them down and just ponder on them. And whichever one seems the most relevant to you, latch onto that thing. You can write it out on a paper. You can post it on your wall, put it by your bed so you see it every day. At one point, when I lived in a shelter, I had it on my door. So whenever I opened my door to leave, I saw what I wanted to focus on. You can use it in your journal. If you keep a planner, you can write that at the top of your day or week, and just keep it front of mind, that you're choosing a new way, a new focus, and you are changing your life moment by moment and choosing to shut down things that you don't need and that don't serve you in your thoughts, especially. So that's my tip for this week, for today. I hope it's helpful. If you have used something similar, a word of the year, word of the day, even a mantra, I would love to hear what it is. If you would like to share in the comments, I think it would be useful for other people, to maybe useful and inspiring for other people to see them, because like I said, I carried on my friend's mantra that she used during her divorce, and I found it very useful to me, not only because it was a good thing, but because I knew that she had relied on it. So it felt like a proven thing that she had passed on to me. So, can we pass this on to others in our lives? And, pour our love and kindness into others by even seeing their strengths and speaking to their strengths, because sometimes people don't know what their strengths are. And when people tell them, they're able to acknowledge that and maybe start to lean into it and accept that about themselves. And that can help them live a better life. And you never know what your words are going to mean for someone else, good and bad, good and bad. But let's keep it, let's pour words of life into others and ourselves. Sorry, this got a little longer than I intended, but I hope that you're able to find something useful in my rambling today. I appreciate you being here. I'm thankful that you are here and that you are showing up in your life. And I pray that you are loved and treated with kindness and dignity. And as I always say, I hope you have a day full of freedom and peace. Bye.